It's Saturday, June 5th, and today I want to talk about something that's got all the headlines lately. It's hacking. Hacking has taken over the minds of most people in the world. So I want to give you a brief history of hacking. Who was the first hacker? And where did hacking originate? And what are the biggest and most famous hacks of all time? Let's see if we can find out. And hacking has been around longer than you think. And it grew in terms in the 60s, because at that point there were many more computer enthusiasts coming on the scene. In fact, that's when I started. The term hacker is used to describe anybody who's a skilled computer programmer. Doesn't mean necessarily that they have evil intent. It's just that they have the skills needed to work on the computer. First known hacker, a gentleman called John Draper. He was also known as Captain Crunch. And he didn't have lots of high-tech tools at his disposal, but he managed to do it with a toy whistle from a cereal package. So now, what does a toy whistle and a cereal package have to do with anything? That doesn't sound like it's a computer system. Well, what happened at that particular time, the largest computer system in the world was the one that was being run by the telephone company. And when the telephone company received a certain pitch, then it opened itself up for phone calls. So Draper developed, using this whistle from a cereal package, he could develop the pitch that would get him into the telephone system. And all he really wanted to do was call overseas or make long-distance phone calls. So that was considered to be the first hacker, a whistle from a box of Captain Crunch. Now let's jump ahead to 1989. A gentleman named Robert Morris developed a worm, which is a computer virus of sorts, and his was called the Denial of Service worm. And he developed it while he was at Cornell University, and he really didn't mean any harm. He wasn't trying to make any money off of it or anything. He was using it to show people how insecure their computer systems was. But he got in trouble because he had a bug in his worm. That's funny. And it completely replicated itself constantly, and so it caused a lot more damage than he ever intended. Nowadays, data breaches and hacks happen every day. And they happen so often that they're considered mainstream now. So it takes something really huge to make headlines, like the meat packer or the Colonial Pipeline. But there have been other hacks in history. Yahoo was hacked back in 2013. 3 billion names and information were stolen. And they never admitted the size of this hack until 2016, maybe. So we've had some major hacks, and they usually make headlines. But every day there's a hack. Small businesses, kids playing games and just shutting things down for the fun of it. At a point in time, we as intelligent people, and I use that term loosely, should recognize that hacking is a way of life and that we need to take care when we use our own computers and be aware that you might get hacked. Let's not forget the infamous hack in 2016 where WikiLeaks published all the private documents from the hacked Democratic National Committee emails, which is said to have had a huge impact on that year's U.S. presidential election. I'm sure we all remember that one. If we take a little look at a little history, in 1999, Windows 98 was introduced, and it had cybersecurity as one of its main features. And then in 2002, the U.S. Homeland Security Act was passed, and one of its primary sections dealt with the protection of cybersecurity. And since then, there have probably been other laws that have written to protect people. Recognize is that cybersecurity has created many jobs and many companies to protect one's computer. Companies like McAfee, like Norton, like Malwarebytes, all of those companies have protection for your computer. Some of them are free and some of them go for like $69 for a lifetime contract, and some of them charge you a monthly fee or an annual fee. So we've created many jobs because of the hack. And the hackers have turned out not to be all bad. There was one group of hackers that did it and then they retired. They collected their money and they said, we're sorry, and we're going off into the sunset. Then there was another group of hackers that said, look, we're in this to make money, so don't feel bad, this is our occupation. However, we will not attack hospitals. We will not attack orphanages. We will not attack any business that is doing good for the community. Now, isn't that a wonderful thing? Hackers with a conscience. So the hackers come in many shapes and sizes and forms. Some are little hackers. Some are basically gamers. Many hackers are just young kids trying out their computer skills. But it's a dangerous game all the way around. There's the story of Marcus Hutchin, who was a child prodigy and who started his computer career at the age of 6. He was not particularly interested in soccer like the other kids. And since he had a different color skin than most, he was largely left on his own. And he became an expert surfer because his parents and he, in an early age, lived not far from the sea, the English Sea. Anyhow, he became so famous that he was invited to DEF CON, which is a conference of hackers. And why was he invited to DEF CON? Because he had literally saved the internet world. Was that the internet was infected by a piece of malware called WannaCry. Now, this self-propagating software had begun exploding across the planet, right? Destroying the data on hundreds of thousands of computers. And it was Hutchin who went through the software and triggered the secret kill switch, which was contained in the WannaCry code, and that immediately stopped WannaCry's global threat. So he was a hero. That are called white hats, as opposed to the black hat of criminals. So this legendary feat that Hutchins performed got him into DEF CON, which is the world's largest computer security conference. And he was invited to every VIP party and event at DEF CON. And he was a shy geek who had slain a monster, and the entire digital world was at his feet. But that was not the end of his story, because he had produced a piece of software called Kronos, which is one of the main products that has been used by the blackmailers in the hacking world now. Unbeknownst to him, an agent who was selling some of his product took this piece of software and peddled it to the blackmail universe. He had to fight for 12 years to clear his name. So you have to be careful what you do. And that's all I want to say right now, and I will see you in the morning. Bye.